Yo, what up guys, I'm Sammy and welcome back to the Soul Brothers channel, and today I'm going to be doing a versus video between the Nike PG5 and the Nike PG6. So the PG5 is going for 110 bucks, but there are some very good deals and it is on sale. So it's probably, I've seen it on sale for like 70-80 bucks. And the PG6 is not out yet in the US, unfortunately, but you guys can get it on StockX or Go. They're saying the retail price is 120 bucks, so they did increase the price from the PG5, which does suck, but it's only 10 bucks, not a huge deal. So if you guys do want to cop either of these shoes, I'll try to leave an affiliate link in the description box, but let's get it started right off with the Tracciones. And the PG5 had very good traction, and also the PG6 has really good traction too. So if you're playing on a clean court, you should be fine. They both have really good stops. If you're playing on a dusty court, however, the PG5 picks up a little bit more dust. The PG6, very good on dust, super minimal pickup, and also a very easy wipe here on the PG6. The PG5 also is a very easy wipe, it's just it picks up dust a little bit more. So if you don't want to wipe as much, of course go with the PG6, but also the PG5 was still a very nice performer on dust. If you're playing on an outdoor court though, the PG5 is absolutely terrible, right? So I don't know if you guys can see, but look at that. It's just like, it just ate through the outsole. I have not played with the PG6 on the outdoor court, but like just feeling it with my fingers, it does not seem like the best actually. So I feel like, especially like if you look at these parts where the rubber is like super thin and I can move it very easily with my fingers, it doesn't seem very durable either, but it can't be as bad as a PG5, I don't think. So I actually, like, if you're playing on outdoor court, I wouldn't recommend either of these shoes, but I would say the PG6 is gonna last a little bit longer just because I was so surprised at how bad the PG5 was for durability. But anyways, overall the PG6 is a little bit better for traction just because of the performance on dust, but the PG5 was still a top tier performer for the traction. Moving on to the heel to toe transition, they're both super smooth. So here in the heel, very nice curved shape, a fully exposed midsole, a lot of compression, super smooth here in the heel. And then the forefoot, we have a nice curved shape and a lot of forefoot flex, but also we have a midfoot shin plate, as you guys can see, so you have good torsional support. Same thing with the PG6, super smooth, a very nice heel shape, and we have this react, which is very soft. And then here in the forefoot, nice curved shape and a lot of forefoot flex. So if you're doing heel dominant strides, running down the court, both of these shoes, very smooth, very comfortable. It doesn't feel clunky at all. All right, moving on to the cushioning setup. Both of these cushioning setups are very nice, but they are a little bit different, right? So the PG6 is just full length react. The PG5, we have this foam, which I'm not 100% sure what this is, probably Phylon, but it's pretty soft actually. And then we have a full length air strobel unit. And so for step and comfort, the PG5 is better, right? You feel that air strobel unit right underneath the foot. It doesn't feel as soft and there's not as much compression as the PG4 for some reason. Maybe the PSI is a little bit less or something, but you still feel that air strobel unit, which is very nice. And I did hear some people, like some of my friends, say the PG4 was a little too soft for them, so the PG5 definitely was an upgrade for some people. But for me personally, I like the PG4 a little bit better. But anyways, PG5 definitely is better for step and comfort. The PG6, you don't feel the react, or you don't feel as much compression in the react, just like right underneath the foot, just because there is a strobel board. Of course, most strobel boards are stiff, so there is that. As far as the court feel goes, the PG5 is a little bit lower to the ground somehow, right? So here in the forefoot, it feels a little bit lower to the ground. PG6 still has great court feel here in the forefoot, but here in the heel, the PG6 definitely does seem a little bit higher up off the ground. The PG5, it stays a little bit more flat, right? For impact protection, for heel strikes, I would say they're both good, right? So like I said, the PG5 has good heel compression, and also, of course, you have the air strobel unit. It's just the heel isn't as bouncy feeling, right? Because Phylon, of course, isn't really bouncy, so it's just more soft and there's nice compression. Here in the PG6, however, you have all of that, right? That compression, it's soft, but you also have a nice bounce and nice rebound back, which feels very nice. In the forefoot, I would say like the PG6 is pretty dead, and then the PG5, you have of course that air strobel unit. So it all depends on what you want. Personally, for me, I would say I like the react a little bit better, although the PG5 cushioning setup is still really nice. All right, moving on to the materials. Yeah, the PG6 takes the win on this one, right? So here in the forefoot, as far as the overall like thickness of the materials go, they're like really similar, super thin, right? PG5 very thin, PG6 very thin, but the PG5 is just super cheap and feels very flimsy. It does not feel nice at all. And just add $10 more and you get the PG6, and this material feels way better for quality. On foot though, it's a little bit hard to tell the difference, right? They're both very thin, conforms to your foot, so that doesn't really matter all too much. But as far as the overall quality goes, the PG6 definitely feels better. And then, like, as you guys can see, like this like synthetic leather material is super cheap, definitely not nice. Here in the midfoot for the PG6, more like a mesh material, which feels better. And then for the tongue as well, you have a very plush tongue. There's a lot of foam. It feels very comfortable and very nice. The PG5, there's very minimal padding, right? It still feels kind of nice, but in my opinion, I like the more plush tongue. And then in the ankle area, I would say it's around the same for the padding. But I guess the PG5 does kind of like have like a singular Achilles pad here. So for me, the materials in the PG6 are a lot better. Alright, moving on to the fit of the shoe, I went true to size for both of them and they've both fit me well, but I would say the PG5 fits me a little bit better. So for length, true to size, my toes are pretty much right at the edge of the shoe. The PG6, it runs a little bit long, just a tiny bit. Like if I went down half a size, I feel like it would be a little too short. So I would only advise people go down half a size if you want a very snug fit. Most people, you should be fine going true to size, right? Also, the PG5 is a little bit narrower, it seems like. As you guys can see, it's a little bit more pointy. So I like that as well, just because I like a very snug fit, just in my personal preference. And also for the toe space, the PG5 is a little bit more snug, just a tiny bit more. So the overall fit for me personally, I like the PG5, although the PG6 is still very nice. I feel like, you know, if you want a little bit more snug fit or you have a skinny fit, the PG5 is probably a little bit better. And then for the PG6, I would say it's more like a little bit more geared toward normal footed people. Moving on to support and lockdown, here in the PG5 I had zero issues, right? As you guys can see, for lateral containment, the foam comes up acting as a lateral counter here in the forefoot and here in the heel, and we have an internal TPU heel counter. So lateral containment was good for me here in the PG5, and same thing here in the PG6. The rubber also does come up the cage, the shoe as well, you know, here in the forefoot, here in kind of like the midfoot area, and then we have an internal TPU heel counter. For both of the shoes though, the material is quite like soft and pretty thin, so the material moves a little bit like this, right? So for me personally, I don't have any issues with that, just because I'm a very light guy. I feel like if you're heavier, maybe around like the 200-pound range, or like you're like really tall and you need a lot of support, you should probably watch out. If you want a very supportive shoe, probably I would suggest maybe like the Harden Volume 6 or the MB1, but like I said, for me, I had no issues with that. For lateral stability though, which shoe is wider? They're on the same width, right? And the PG5 has a little bit of an outrigger, which is pretty interesting. But anyways, I didn't have any issues with lateral instability in either of the shoes, so you should be fine and you should be good to go for support and lockdown. Alright, moving on to the weight of the shoe. If I remember correctly, the PG5 is actually a lot lighter, right? It's like 10.8 ounces, guys. The PG6 like 12.13 ounces, yeah. So the PG5 definitely does feel a little bit lighter, but both of the shoes feel extremely responsive. I love playing in both of the shoes. I feel very quick. I feel very light on my feet as well, just because it's a very minimal upper. And it's a very responsive cushioning setup as well, and the traction for both of the shoes is really good. So I love playing in both of the shoes, but of course if you want the overall lighter shoe, go with the PG5, although the PG6, I had no issues with that. Alright, moving on to the aesthetics. PG6, the PG5 is, yeah, I'm not a huge fan of how it looks, and also the colorways that came out weren't the best in my opinion. The PG6 definitely looks a lot better. I definitely feel like it's an upgrade for the aesthetics. So tell us what you guys think of the aesthetics down in the comment section below. As far as the ventilation goes, I would say the PG5 is a little bit better, just because the tongue is like definitely thicker here in the PG6. The overall thickness here in the material for the forefoot is the same. It's very similar here in the forefoot and the midfoot, but just because of the tongue, the PG5 is a little bit cooler. So there's a ventilation there. Alright, so wrapping things up which is the overall better performer? In my opinion, I like the PG6 better, right? It has better quality materials. The cushioning setup I like a little bit better, although the PG5 is still super nice. Also, the traction in the PG6 is a little bit nicer just because it picks up less dust. So yeah, in my opinion, I like the PG6 better, although the PG5 is still really nice and you can't really go wrong with the PG5. Of course, there are some things that I don't like about it, like the material quality, but that didn't really hinder performance all too much, right? So in most cases, I would suggest you get the PG6. The only reason I would say, or actually two reasons I would say to get the PG5 is if you want the lighter shoe, which in my opinion, like I said, it wasn't a huge deal. And also if you want a better step and comfort because of that full-length air strobo unit. But that's pretty much the only reason, right? But anyways, that about concludes this versus video. Again, if you guys do want to cop either of these shoes, I'll try to leave an affiliate link in the description box. But that's it. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.